Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Sports Talk 920. I am your host, Michael Goodman, and driving along here with me is Sarah, but she's sleeping. That's right, we're here late night. We're driving about 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central, driving back to Wisconsin. So you're cruising along with me as we try to make the trek back to Wisconsin here, and talk a little sports. Do the program here while I drive. See how it goes. Again, you're listening to Sports Talk 920, and some big news going on in the NASCAR world this week. Dale Jr. is going to be sitting out this weekend at New Hampshire. Filling in for him will be Alex Bauman. And why is he sitting out, you may ask? Well, concussion-like symptoms. And if you recall back in 2012, Dale Jr. had the same issue back with a crash at Talladega. And really not sure quite what happened here with Dale Jr. this time. Potentially could have been a wreck at Michigan, and he did get in that wreck at Daytona. But obviously those weren't as bad. But Dale Jr. has been very open with when he's got his concussions and stuff like that. I think back in 2002, he said he got misdiagnosed for one when he hit the wall pretty hard with Kevin Harvick. And if you go back and look at it, it's at California. It's a pretty bad wreck. So you can understand, juniors maybe being again worried about it. I think we talked about it on this program here last time Dale Jr. got in that situation where he had to sit out those two races, I believe it was, and Regan Smith filled in those duties there. And the initial plan was for Dale Jr. to start the race and have Alex Bauman fill in, but after getting tests done, they felt that he was unfit to drive the car this weekend. So again, it's something I can understand. I know a lot of people are probably, diehard Dale Jr. fans, such as myself, might be a little upset that Dale Jr. won't be racing this weekend. But it might hurt his chase chances, points wise, because right now that's the way he's gotta sit, get in. But, if you remember, too, it was probably right around Michigan or probably right around there when his season kind of went for a downhill spiral, I guess you could say. He hasn't been running as competitive. And I think he even said at Kentucky he thought it was allergies and felt a little funny. And he took medicine and stuff to try to help him out with that. But alas, did not work out for him. But again, understandably so that Junior's sitting out. Looking back at his teammate Steve Park, who had a couple of head injuries in his day, and albeit that you might look at him and say, well, he's not too bad. But you can almost tell in his speech, if you go back probably to Steve Park early 1998, listen to some interviews there, and go even talk to interviews with him right around 2004, you could tell a big difference in being able to come up with words and how fast his speech came out. It was pretty different. So I think he's seen it firsthand, and really Sarah brought up having getting married here, and so I think this off season or next year, I can't remember when his wedding is, but getting married here pretty quick. He wants to be able to enjoy life after racing, which something also his father wasn't able to do, obviously, too. So something maybe that's a little bit more important to him than maybe it would have been if his father was still here today, too. So it'll be interesting to see how many races he misses. But of course, the big news also that popped up, that Jeff Gordon said he would race for Dale Jr. Next weekend Indy if need be. So that was kind of the big headline story in the NASCAR world, to see if that will happen. And the first thoughts, I thought of when that announcement was made. I told Rudy, I texted Rudy the article saying, "Hey, Gordon might be back." Kind of excited but disappointed, obviously, as a Junior fan as well. At the same time, again, if Junior misses 2 races, this season's basically shot unless he can win in the next few weeks after that. The season gets quite a bit shorter for him to in the regular season to get in the chase. But it'd be awesome to see Jeff Gordon come back and get another shot at a Brickyard 400. And really, you think about it. Rudy was asking me 20 questions about how did Dale Jr. run a Pocono? He finished second. He had one of the faster cars there, at the end of the race. Probably should have won it. And really, the 88 team in the past several years, kind of since Dale Jr.'s kind of resurgence in his career, in the past couple of years, he's been fast at Indy. The car has been, but I mean, Indy is not his forte. He's not that good there. So it's going to be interesting to see, if they can bring that fast hot rod that they probably have ready for Dale Jr. I think even last year he might have got a top 5, or he was running the top 5 for a lot of the race. I think it'll be fine. And a lot of people are maybe concerned that Jeff Gordon, sat out of a car for 8 months, but I think the biggest thing is, it's Indy. He knows the track really well, and we did see Sam Hornish Jr., be out of a car for 6 months or whatever it was, and end up winning the race in Iowa. If you put a driver in a competitive car, they're going to be fine. I mean, it's not like he's been out multiple years. You even look at some of the guys, even like Brian Vickers, and he when he had blood clots, and he ended up winning a fuel mileage race nonetheless. He was able to kind of get back in and be his normal self, and maybe you won't see Jeff Gordon competing for a win, but I would see him easily being in the top 15, being more than servable than maybe an Alex Bauman could be in that role. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I think it'd be kind of cool to see Jeff Gordon back, but hopefully Junior can get back as well. So it's kind of torn on that one. But I guess I'd rather see Dale Jr. back. But if there was anyone to fill in for Dale Earnhardt Jr., I never thought I would say this at any point in my life, but especially when I was 13-year-old me would not believe me right now, saying if Dale Jr. couldn't run the 88 car, it'd be cool to see Jeff Gordon drive that car at Indy. So yeah, that's gonna be quite interesting how that plays out in the chase of Dale Jr. That could open the door for some of the guys that are on the outside looking in, to get in on points. Ryan Newman, Ryan Blaney, who got in that wreck at Kentucky last weekend. That could really catapult him back into the chase picture. But again, I mean, if Junior misses this race too, if you think about it, I think he has about a 30-point advantage over the guy that's in 16 spots. So really, he might not even fall out of the top 16. So he has that buffer zone there too. But the interesting thing, if you do read into the Dale Jr., I guess, saga or story here, he's basically got to pass a independent neurologic, I can't say it right now, test. It's too late for me to say. It's, again, 3, almost 4 in the morning for me here, but yeah. Hey, I'm passing ARCA Midwest Tour Series semi. I know there was an ARCA Midwest Tour Series race that was going on here recently, or last night. So they must be going back to Wisconsin. Kind of cool to see. But yeah, I don't think Dale Jr.'s chase chances are totally done, but I think Dale Jr. again, if you look at it like why why is he sitting out? I haven't heard many people kind of have that thinking, I guess. But really, I think if you think about it, he could limp his way around the track with these concussion-like symptoms and risk his long-term future, but maybe barely get in the chase and maybe finish in the top 12 or something like that. Or, who knows, given a couple weeks off, and even if he falls out of the top 16 in points, gets a win, the racetracks coming up that he's good at, Michigan, he ran well at Bristol earlier this season, and again, maybe some of the tracks he struggled at too, that he can get back in and run. And hey, who knows, Watkins Glen could be come back and win Watkins Glen. I know Dale Jr. not known for being a road course racer, but really probably had one of the faster cars at Sonoma, but kind of getting back in traffic kind of prevented him from really getting a decent finish there. So we'll see what happens. And just kind of funny, where I was telling Sarah too that we're maybe going to the Brickyard 400 next Sunday. The reason I wanted to go was because it was going to be Tony Stewart's last Brickyard 400. Now I can maybe break to Rudy that I get to see Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon's last Brickyard 400 at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see. But anyway, we're going into New Hampshire here. I think I don't think we're going to see any guys that are on the brink of the chase win the race. I don't think it's, everyone's waiting for that week for Kyle Larson to win it. Watch, he'll win it now because they said it won't happen. I think you're going to see those Gibbs cars continue to be very fast on Sunday. I think between Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, maybe they got the field covered there. It's one of those tracks too. It brings up a little bit of a different feel to it because it is a flat track. It provides a little bit more of a challenge for the drivers. I mean, it might not show to be the most exciting thing for the fans to watch, but those flat tracks, you don't see them a whole lot. A higher speed flat track, so it should be interesting to see what happens on Sunday. But with that being said, we really don't have a whole lot to talk about. We're kind of in, we just had the ESPYs go on, so that was kind of always the note, or even the All-Star game, which the American League won again. Was it? I can't remember who won the home run derby now. It was Chris Davis. He hit somewhat of a record home run record there, but it was different format where they time it instead of getting 10 outs. So it really doesn't count as a home run record either. So, but anyway, when you kind of get to that point, you get to we're at the slow point of the summer in the world of sports. And it will continue to be a little bit slower, but we're on the upswing now. We're getting closer to football. As we talked about a few weeks ago, we're now under a month away before the Hall of Fame game in Canton between the Packers and the Colts, and of course Brett Favre going into the Hall of Fame. And an interesting story I read today, which again I don't know how true this story would be, but interesting nonetheless. Jared Allen, back in 2000, before the 2010 season, when all those Viking players, went down to talk Brett Favre out of retirement, after going to that NFC Championship game and Favre kind of blowing it up in his face. Those Viking players went down. Jared Allen said he was one that once he went down there and seen the nice property that Favre had, almost said, hey, if you like where you're at, stay here. You don't have to come back. He was probably the only one that wasn't on his knees begging to or for Favre to come back per se, I guess. But I thought that was a little interesting. But Jared Allen might be stretching the